Sio mwisho wa upishi. Sisi tutaendelea tukitakikana, wakati sauti zetu zinahitajika mtatusikia. Tunaweza kwenda likizo kidogo, lakini kazi ya umma hauwezi ukaenda likizo kabisa. Kwa hivyo tutakuwa nanyi every step of the way, and we are going to make sure that Kenya is transformed. Miaka 10 sijawahi kuwa ndani ya serikali, lakini sauti yangu haijapotea. Mwanisikia kila wakati, hata wa sasa, na tuchunge sana katiba yetu. Iko watu jana wakasema hawataki mabadiliko, watanyemelea hiyo katiba, na katiba ndio inafanya tusimame imara. Kwa koti zetu nataka kuziambia wale wote wako mahakamani ya kwamba kuwa huru sio ile maandishi iko kwa katiba, ni roho yako na vitendo yako. I want to encourage, especially the High Court, which is the gateway to human rights in Kenya, to stay steadfast and firm. We shall rely on our constitution to ensure that we are not haunted or hunted down by anyone. And therefore, my brother, Lendama Olekina, usitishwe na mtu yeyote. Katiba iko, simama imara. Na tuliona kwa TV wale walikupiga na kiti, hata tuko na hiyo video. Sisi ndio tutawashtaki, sio wewe utashtakiwa. Tutawashtaki wale walikupiga na kiti. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, mimi naomba tukae pamoja kama azimio la umoja. Haikuwezekana leo, lakini itawezekana. Na ishawezekana Mombasa County, na itawezekana Kenya mzima. Na sababu nilikumbushwa ya kwamba na koti, ya kwamba watu wanaweza tembea na hot air. Mimi nimeapa hot air itanipeleka East African Court of Justice. Na hiyo haitatusaidia kupata kiti yetu ya urais, lakini itatusaidia kuzungumzia kama haki ilitendeka kwa koti ya Kenya. Asanteni sana.
To their advantage. I think for me, and Governor Malombe made this point, that the constitution was the clamor for the new constitution was very much driven by devolution. People wanted resources to percolate to their level, and this was an important selling point for the constitution. And so we begin with Article 1 of the constitution, which says the people are sovereign, and the county executive, the county assembly exercise delegated power, and of course the national levels. This is exercised by democratically elected representatives, and also those who are state officers, public officers who work in the counties. And I think many successful counties prioritize this sovereignty of the people, and they ensure that it is real, and there is this general recognition. It is Article 6 of the Constitution which talks about their governments at the national and county levels, and they are distinct, underlined, but interdependent, and they shall conduct their mutual relations on the basis of consultation and cooperation. From the historical background that we got from Governor Malombe, it has been clear that in the formative period of the second generation of devolution, the national government has not seen the 47 county governments as distinct, and actually entities for which the functions that the Constitution and other laws vest in them cannot be legally undertaken by the national government. And I think there was important description about how there are clashes, very focused in terms of the values and principles that also apply to the devolved level of, and this they include patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, participation of the people, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, integrity, transparency, accountability, and sustainable development. I've read this in full because they apply not just to the national level, but they apply to county governments. They even apply to state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever they are applying or interpreting the Constitution and so on and so forth. And one of the things that in the counties sometimes we don't focus on is protection of the marginalized. Because even within counties, you can get pockets of populations that are marginalized, and these require the requisite protection. I think in our booklet, you will see all the laws that will help us achieve devolution from the Constitution, even according to Article 2.6, any treaty or convention ratified by Kenya shall form part of the law of Kenya under this Constitution. So laws that speak to devolution will be relevant. Then there are laws relating to devolution, the County Government Act, Intergovernmental Relations Act, urban areas, and so on. And those laws are in our booklet. And I think it's important that we get acquainted, with all these laws. You have the facility of a legal advisor. You have a county law office headed by the county attorney and county solicitor. And it is important that we closely look at these laws so that therefore we do our work in the knowledge of these laws. In the fourth schedule of the Constitution, where the functions of county governments are articulated, first of all, in the segment on the national level, policy is articulated to harmonize how functions are to be implemented. And when you look at that first part of the functions, you will see, of course, foreign policy, language policy, national economic policy, monetary policy, education policy. Education policy is important because county governments also have a certain segment of education to be in charge of. Housing policy, they also have a housing policy. Energy policy, health policy, vet policy, agricultural policy, and tourism. So the first port of call when you are doing policies is to look at national policy so that because this is where your own policies and eventually attendant laws will be guided from. There are also norms and standards. For example, Article 235, there are norms and standards relating to public service, which counties need to be guided by. In the fourth schedule, there are labor standards, there are educational standards, construction and maintenance of county roads standards, environment, natural resources, systems. There are also general principles of land planning and the coordination of planning by counties, standards for social security, and professional pension plans. And I think in the previous administrations, the the governors perhaps did not focus, and deputy governors focus on this national policy or rather standard for professional pension plans to argue for the same pension as exists at the national level. Again, interestingly, in our constitution, most of the chapters are preluded by general principles. For example, Bill of Rights, Article 19, you have general provisions relating to Bill of Rights. Article 60, Principles of Land Policy. Article 73, Responsibilities of Principles, Responsibility of Leadership.